CoDee Wesley, welcome to Tongue Tied Ride and Tie Interviews. You are one of our newest members of the Ride and Tie family. You competed at Yellowhammer back in April, and I want to talk to you about that. But before we get to that, today is Tevis Sunday, and we were texting back and forth earlier today. We both have been watching and seeing all that's going on in Tevis, and Ride and Tie has so many connections with Tevis, and Tevis is just such a celebration of the horse. So before we talk about your Equathon experience, talk to me a little bit about how you first got involved in horses and your experience leading up to getting involved in Equathon.
Well, from a small child, I always was involved in the draft horses. My family raised and bred Percherons, and we would show them. We lived in Pennsylvania, so that's all I really knew. We moved down here when I was probably about 9 or 10. And my brother was my best friend ever. He taught me everything I know about horses. We did everything together. And we saw an article in a magazine at a barbershop when I went with him to get his hair done. And it was an article about ride and tie. Both of us loved running, and we both loved horses, but we had the draft horses. So we both said, boy, wouldn't that be cool? But it was kind of far-fetched because you don't really do it with a big old 2,000-pound Percheron draft horse. But we had always talked about it and had it as a dream or a goal. Well, unfortunately, in 2004, my brother, he was killed in an airplane crash. So he was my best friend and my running mate, my horse buddy. He did everything with me. So I was kind of left alone. And then years later, my daughter was born, and she's 7 now, and she kind of got me involved in quarter horses. So kind of a new chapter. My oldest senior Percheron, he's living his best life, just in retirement. But we got into some of the quarter horses because of her. I love the idea of trail riding, and I love the idea of health and exercise. And then I remembered that day that my brother and I were looking at that article, and I said, now's the time. So I got a lot of literature and articles. I wanted to read about endurance and what's best for the horse, and there's just so much information out there. It never ends. So I looked into it for a couple years before I actually got to my first ride and tie, and now I'm hooked, and I can't stop thinking about it every day. Every time I run, I think about it. It's such a great way to take care of yourself and your horse. There's just really the best sport all the way around.
And so you have entered in Equathon. That's how you entered the sport. I teasingly call Equathon the gateway drug into ride and tie, but it's a great sport all on its own. You entered at Yellowhammer this year, and then found out you were the only entrant, and we're a little concerned about that, I think. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll just be honest with you. I was super excited. And then I think you sent an email with, I think I counted, there was going to be like 12 people total, and like 6 horses or something. I don't remember the numbers. And I talked to my husband, and I said, I don't really want to drive 5 hours just to be there with just a handful of people. I didn't realize that the whole AERC group was going to be there. And there's just so much I didn't know. But when I spoke to you, you assured me that I was going to have the best time no matter what. Well, when I pulled down that road and looked at the massive amounts of people and horses just everywhere, and everybody had a smiling face, my heart just lit up. I was so excited. And after doing the race, I realized that no matter what, one person or 100, I was doing it for me, and I was doing it for my horse, and I didn't care how many people were there when it was said and done, because it was a goal, and it was something that I wanted to complete, and I did it for myself, and I'm so happy now. It doesn't even matter how many people.
Well, and before you even got to the race, you got stories that end well. They're traumatic stories that end well, just become good stories. And so you did have a bit of a trauma right out of the gate the day before
there was
the
a
race.
Hiccup.
Tell us a little bit about that hiccup.
So it's about a 5-hour drive to Fruithurst, Alabama, and several times on the way there, I told my husband stories about horses that would get loose and how horrible that would be, and I can't imagine that happening. So we pull in and we find our perfect spot, and I'm just in awe. I'm elated. It's just the weather's beautiful, the trees, it's just the most beautiful experience. I back my horse out of the trailer. I get her tied up to the side, just trying to get everything set up and just kind of get fit in. And there were some horses close to us that had got tangled up in one of their little paddocks, and then mine got spooked. And then she sat back on her rope, busted loose, and then took off with the other horses in Talladega National Forest down the trail. So I'm running with a feed bucket, shaking it into the woods that I've never been into before, literally. And I kid you not, praying every single step of the way, God, please, please help me get my horse. I was in tears because I had not been there 5 minutes and my horse is already gone. Worst imaginable thing going through my head of what could happen. I had never been in that area before, but I did have a little bit of unbelief, but with faith and prayer the whole way through, this lady, and you may know who it was, but I still didn't catch her name, but she came up behind us, or behind me as I was running in flip-flops, running on her horse, and she passed by, and I'm still praying and believing, and time had gone by, and I hear something down in the woods, and she had got all 3 horses that were loose. She had wrangled them up, and it literally brought tears to my eyes, and I just can't even thank her enough. Hopefully she sees this, but
that is our farrier.
You know who it is.
Our farrier, Chris Wolfersheim. She's wonderful and is just like that. Her horse was right there near there. And so they untied it, took off because she knew I got to go. And so, yep.
Yeah. And she rescued all 3 horses. Mm-hmm. And then it's like the party just continued. Everything was great after that. Y'all invited us over to your dinner, which was amazing and so welcoming. And that's one thing I'd like to add about the Ride and Tie people and just group. I just have never been around nicer people ever. Everybody treats you like family. It's scary when you're trying something brand new that you don't know anything about, but when you have people like you and your wife and just everyone was just so kind, and just it really makes you feel comfortable, and I appreciated that so much.
Now what I remember about that dinner is Brandon had made venison stew. One that was stew. Yep. Oh, it was so good. It was a soup. And yeah, a soup. Yeah. Oh,
but he told me, he said, I want you, and this meant a lot because we've been married 16 years this year, and I'm so thankful for him. He's not here for me to brag on him. So, but he told me that he wanted me to focus on me and my horse, and he was going to take care of the dinner, and he sure did.
He did.
He sure did.
So tell me a little about your horse. We know that she's got some spirit to her already from the last story, but tell me a little bit about her.
So she's a quarter horse. Long story short, when I got interested in endurance, I wanted a Mustang because, that's a great idea, right? Get a Mustang and work with them and adopt one. So I had one. She was 4 years old, and our personalities clashed. It just didn't work. I tried so hard with her, and it just didn't work out. So before somebody got hurt severely, I was able to get her into a home that she ended up working out great for her. But I took that money, and I was able to buy my horse. And when I bought her, she was a 12-year-old quarter horse. She was pregnant at the time, so she gave us a beautiful blue roan, which hopefully one day he can be one of my endurance ponies also. But she's a quarter horse, which isn't obviously one of the known endurance horses. I don't even think there was a quarter horse in the Tevis this year at all. That was one of the questions I asked.
There has been.
There has been. Yeah. Yes, there has been. And that it kind of reminds me of that movie Hidalgo, the little Mustang that ran. So I kind of think of her and I like that. Mm-hmm. She gives me her whole heart. She's a great horse. Sugar. I let my husband name her just so everybody could be involved. But she gave me her whole heart. one of the things that I also love about this sport or endurance and ride and tie is to finish is to win. So full-heartedly, I am there for the pure enjoyment of it. God's creation, the woods, just every single moment in that saddle on that trail is just the most beautiful moment ever. So I just want to enjoy it and I want to soak it in. So we were in no rush, even though we were the only one. We came in first and last. But I just wanted to enjoy every moment of it, and she did that for me. We just fully soaked it in, and like I said, she gives me everything. She's a great horse. She's a little, we all got our quirks about us, and she's a little spicy, but I kind of like it. It's a little bit of a challenge every once in a while.
So for those who maybe don't know, Equathon is where you ride a loop, and then as soon as your horse hits the pulse criteria, you can go back out and run a loop. Except you do, I think you chose to go ahead and run her through the vet check and the whole 9 yards before you went running, right?
Again, I was enjoying the full experience, so I wanted to be there for that.
Yep. So when you were, tell me a little about that loop you rode. Anything happened there? Any stories from that?
No, it was beautiful. I passed a lot of people. Yeah, people, like, again, everybody's so kind. Everybody's checking in on you. Hey, you good? You need anything? Water. Everybody's very kind about that. But it was uneventful, which is good. It was just comfortable, no injuries or anything like that. I meet so many nice people along the way. And then I got to run the almost some of the same loop on foot too, which was pretty neat because I had already covered some of the ground, so I was familiar with the ground. Because I was a little concerned being in the middle of a national forest by myself running, and to be able to track over that first on horse and get an idea of where I'm at, that actually helped a lot, and it made me feel more comfortable because I was by myself the entire time.
One of the things I loved about Brandon was because I was ride manager, I'm kind of trying to keep up with everybody with what's going on with you and what's going on with the riding tie teams and stuff. And I went back and asked him at one point, you wouldn't have any idea. I was thinking maybe you were a little slower than I thought you ought to be. I was quite sure that wasn't a problem. And he said, "Oh, we got a radio, walkie-talkie. We've been talking. She's fine. Things are." And so that was so neat. Y'all were staying in touch, and he was kind of hanging on to you that way. So you've got a great crew member there.
I do. He is not a horse person at all. But like I said, we've been married 16 years. We dated 4 years before that. And I think on one of our first dates, I said, "Hey, I come with horses, by the way." So just giving you a heads up. And ever since, he has provided me with that crazy dream, and he's always supported my crazy dreams. But yeah, he took good care of me on the radio. I also would love to comment on how safe I felt on the ride with all the stations and all the volunteers, the ham radio people. Amazing. I got chatting with some of the reason why I was taking so long too is because I'd start chatting with them because they're great people, and a lot of them didn't know anything about horses, and they were just there because it's one of the things that they do on the side. And I never felt so safe. Like, that's one of the best things ever, and I appreciate that too.
That is one of the wonderful things about Yellowhammer, because you are so far out in the woods, there is no cell phone signal, and the ham radio operators use it as a training for them, and it's great for the riders. As a manager, it's great for me because I also spend a lot of time in their tent just asking, where's riding tie team number 3? Well, they've come through these 2 checkpoints or whatever, and that you're right, they are so wonderful.
I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't know they were going to be there. So that was a surprise and a delight all in the same. And I really appreciated it.
So you've got an Equathon under your belt. Tell me future plans.
Well, I'm very excited. Equathon, it is kind of a, its own thing, but I love it because I can train as much as I need to. I got my horse and train my horse. Unfortunately, you don't have to rely on somebody else. I know teams are great, but this is something I can work on my own. So I'm looking for all the opportunities. And unfortunately, I live in the panhandle of Florida, Northwest Panhandle. So really, you can only go up and out. There's not too many places to go where we're located. But I found I found a ride in Mississippi. It's hunting for Bigfoot, and it's coming up. I reached out to the ride manager, and she didn't know anything about Equathon, but she was so open to it, and she got it approved, and she's so excited about it. She has posted on her Facebook, Jane Bonner, she has posted on her Facebook, this is the first year they'll ever do Equathon. That's going to be me. Hopefully there's more people. I've tried to help spread the news. There's not too many crazy people that like to run and ride, but hopefully there's a few more out there. But that's my future for October, and then just kind of branching out, continuing to train and stay healthy. I mean, this is long-term stuff, and it's something that you can work on all the time. Even if I don't feel like riding and I'm running, I can take my horse with me running. You know, I may look crazy running down the road with a horse, but I don't care what people think.
There you go. Oh, that's great. That's great. So if somebody was thinking about doing either an Equathon or ride and tie, what advice would you give them? What encouragement would you give them?
So my advice is definitely do it. You don't have to be any specific physical way. It's not for runners. It's not for riders. It's for everybody. It's something that maybe people might think that is unattainable, but it is. You can do it. Anybody can do it. Do it now, because you never know when you might not be able to. One of my things is I feel bad, working on this stuff sometimes, because I like to keep priorities, with family, and make sure my kids are being paid attention to, but it's a family thing too. So bring the family, let your husband cook for you, stay healthy, enjoy your animals, and do stuff that you can do now that you never know, maybe one day you might not be able to, because we're definitely not promised tomorrow.
Oh, what a great advice and encouragement. And you are such a great ambassador for our sport. So I'm so thankful you're a part of our family now, for sure, for sure.
I love it. I work at a hospital, and I have a badge, and I got on the Ride and Tie website and got the little pin to put on my badge at the hospital. It has nothing to do with what I do for work, but it brings up the conversation, Ride and Tie. It's a really cool little pin. It says "and Equathon" on it, and I'm definitely I would be the mascot any day for the Equathon. It is definitely top priority in my life.
Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you, and we just I look forward to seeing you out there on the trails again.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out there.
All right, thanks, CoDee.
Thank you.